And she does it all over, but a certain percent goes to feeding homeless and hungry and shelters. And that. So it's a really cool, yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, her name's Sharon.
Donna Rudowitz, I see.
Donna.
Oh my gosh, she looks like she's 15.
Right?
I love it. I love it. She's like, what? I can't even talk. I can't talk. We got Genevieve here. Genevieve.
Oh, sorry. I'm unmuting myself.
Hi, sweetie. Good to see you.
Hi, it's so good to see you. I'm finally able to make a meeting. I'm so excited.
So excited. And hi, Genevieve.
Hi, Jill. How are you?
Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too. I just happened to see your link, so I said, what the heck? Let me try hopping on here.
Oh, I love it. Well, we are so glad you got it. Came for a great speaker who you're going to love. Do you know Nicole? Does everybody know Nicole? I know Donna knows Nicole.
I know. I love Nicole. Hello, Nicole.
I know that, yeah, you will all love that. And Connie Joe's here. Hi, Connie Joe. Hats off to Connie Joe, not a morning person. Shows up anyway. Yay.
Awesome.
Yay.
Not at all.
Here. I'll give everybody just a couple more minutes to, we usually have a few. Mary Beth usually, Debbie.
I'm just going to go
K.
grab my coffee.
Okay, go ahead.
I'll be right back.
No problem. There's Mary Beth. We got Frank. Oh, I got Frank in the house. Hi, Frank. Hi, Debbie.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, Mary Beth.
Good morning, all.
Good morning. I'm going to give everybody just another minute to give everybody a chance to sign in. Judy Fritz is in Texas at eWomen Network, so she won't be here today, but she sends her love. She's connecting. I bet she's making some great connections at eWomen Network. Has anyone ever been to one of their conferences? Mm-hmm. I haven't either. I just put that on my, I'm not excited, and I'm sorry if anybody's from Texas. I'm just never excited to go to Texas because it's so hot.
It's hot.
Especially in the summer.
Yeah, that's what I'm always like.
I like the heat.
Against Texas, beautiful state. What did you say, Frank?
I said I like the heat, so I don't mind.
Oh yeah, and you probably like all those women, so you you bring Rachel.
Yeah.
In Texas, though, I had the greatest experience. My friend is in Austin, and we went into this little store, lots of interesting little things. And there's a little low fence, and the woman's pet chicken comes out to say hello.
Of course.
It doesn't happen in Alexandria, Virginia. Let me just say it out loud. That's not an experience I could have.
Well, I think Austin.
I think
Austin is like really bohemian compared to Dallas.
Live music is seriously good stuff.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, just a reminder for everyone, if you could open your chat box, guests and members, if you could put your first, last name, and email address in there. What I do this is how we take attendance, and also I send the recording for today's presentation and meeting, as well as a copy of the chat box to everyone who attends. So Nicole, you get a copy of your presentation. I don't know if that's good or bad. Some people like to go analyze themselves. And thank you for doing that. And we are really excited to see some new faces. Well, all friendly faces to me, but I think some newer faces for each of you. So we'll go ahead and get started with elevator speeches / 30-second commercials. So I will pick, what I do is I just kind of go around the Zoom room and pick the person. So I will start with, Nicole, go ahead.
Okay. Hi, everybody. There's some familiar faces. I'm so happy to see some familiar faces here. I'm Nicole Meltzer from BalancedYouAcademy.com, and we're an online academy, international, I'm happy to say, for personal development and empowerment. So I have a bunch of different programs, group programs, as well as doing individual work. I have 20 years of therapy experience, so I've taken that and put it into programs and have some teaching and group coaching involved in all that. So it's very exciting. I'm so excited to be here. And I'm I think probably the sole Canadian here. So yay. Yay, Canada.
Yay, Canada. Yeah, I think you are the only Canadian. We have had some folks from Canada visit us before. And Hani, our Swede, is sick.
Aw.
Yeah. So I'm next. I'm Jill Celeste. I am the founder of the Celestial Circle and a marketing coach and the founder of this chapter. So I like to find things, apparently. I teach marketing and mindset and business to purpose-driven entrepreneurs. Love helping them reach their goals and love marketing. And you can learn more about the Celestial Circle at thecelestialcircle.com. And some of you are in the Celestial Circle, and thank you for being here. Ms. Judy Kane is next.
Okay, so I'm Judy Kane, and my business is called Aligned Consciousness. And I help people rewrite subconscious self-limiting beliefs using a process called Psych-K. It uses muscle testing to communicate with the subconscious. So I see people with three general categories, either the big emotions like phobias, trauma, grief, or people who try and hit goals that just seem to keep self-sabotaging, or physical symptoms of stress.
Guys, we're glad you're here, Judy. Thank you. We missed you it was 2 weeks ago.
I missed you too, yeah.
We had a fun coffee date thing. We're going to do that again. Make sure it's during a time you can attend, though, for sure. Donna, welcome. We're so glad you're here.
I know, thank you. This is the first time on a Friday that I don't have a client appointment at this time. So when Debbie told me it was 8 o'clock, I'm like, I can make it.
We're so glad you're here. Introduce yourself to everybody.
Okay, great. So my name is Donna Rudowitz of DonnaRudowitz.com, and I am a relationship expert and a psychotherapist. And I help women manage the turbulent waters of divorce so they and their families have a fighting chance of living a happy, healthy life and achieving the dreams that they want to achieve.
We are so glad you're here. And oh, you know what? I forgot to say, everybody say where they're from. So we know Nicole's from Canada. Judy and I are from the Tampa Bay area. Donna, where are you from?
I'm from Long Island, New York.
Yay! In case you couldn't tell with that little Long Island accent.
Little twang. Little Long Island. Little Long Island. New York.
Welcome. Genevieve / Jenny. You're up next. I think she's stuck. We'll have her come back. See, she knew like the anticipation, like her webcam went. Debbie Keevan, how about you?
Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm Debbie of DeborahKeevan.com, and I work with stressed out individuals, entrepreneurs, to help them really align their healing stories to unlock and free themselves so that they can serve all the yummy people they're meant to serve. And I am halfway between Baltimore and Washington, D.C. in Maryland.
We are glad you're here. Thank you. Frank?
All right. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I am Frank Deming, aka the Local Business Guy, and I help small businesses increase their revenue by 25% within a 12-month period, and I do that by optimizing 4 key marketing areas. I am currently in the great state of New Jersey.
Currently, like there might be a move in the future?
Well, I used to live in the DC area, so.
You need to come. It's warm. You need to come to Florida.
I'm heading down to Tampa. I don't know about Rachel, but I know I'm going.
She'll come with you, I'm sure. Mary Beth, your turn.
Morning, I'm Mary Beth Decker with sacredgrove.com. I'm still an intuitive animal communicator. I connect to your animals and help you have two-way conversations with them so you can figure out why they're doing that thing, or how they're feeling, or even if they're ready to transition. And my latest new gig, if I may say it that way, is I check in with animals while their people are on vacation, and it's been going really good. I'm currently checking in with 3 cats while their mom is taking a 3-week vacation around British Isles. So it's really nice. Oh, excuse me for a second. Oh, Canada. Happy Canada Day. Okay, done.
Mary Beth grew kind of near Canada, so she's heard the anthem a lot growing up. Connie Jo, your turn to sing. Introduce yourself.
You don't want me to sing. I'm Connie Jo Miller of Enigma Bookkeeping Solutions. I serve coaches and other solopreneurs. I work with you to make sure that you have tax and audit ready books, and I make sure that you have the information to understand the financial health of your business.
And we are glad. And where do you live? Tell everybody where you live.
The Atlanta, Georgia area.
Yay! You know, I drove through coming, kind of.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I waved. I waved at you.
You were so close. We should have met for lunch.
Yeah, I know. Next time I'll plan that a little better. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So everybody, I'm glad you're here. And now it's time for our guest speaker, Nicole. Nicole, do you have slides or are you just speaking today?
I did have slides, and then I've decided I'm not going to do slides after all.
Oh, well. Let me do a quick introduction, and then you can take the floor. So your introduction's on my second monitor, so
Okay.
I got to look over here. So Nicole Meltzer is the founder and director of Balanced You Academy, which is an international academy for personal development and empowerment. She lives and works with her life partner, Elliot, and her 2 sons in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada. So we are glad you're here. Nicole, you have the floor.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. I am so excited to talk about this topic. Metaphors is something I'm very passionate. I can get a little carried away with, so I really reeled it in. Actually, I was talking to Debbie yesterday about this, and I was like, I could just talk for hours on this. So she's like, do a masterclass. So if this is something that you want to know more about, then let me know afterwards, and I'll happily invite you to the masterclass that I'm apparently going to do. So, so anyways, I will back up a little bit and explain why metaphors are important to what I do. I've been in practice for 20 years now, and I work with people in the body as a massage therapist, in the mind as a hypnotherapist and coach, and spiritually through intuitive work like medical intuitive and helping people to develop their own intuition. So, and with Reiki. So over the years, I have found that over and over again, there would be very similar manifestations of blocks that people would experience. So before I started practice, though, my life before that was in market research, which is completely opposite. But I never let go of that research junkie side of me. So when I was working with clients, I would always be making these copious notes about, oh, that's so interesting. They said they were experiencing this, and this is the way that it was presenting. And I just started collecting that over the years and found that there was a pattern and a trend that when people were experiencing things, I can see Judy's like, yes, right? Yeah, I'm sure you experience this all the time in your practice too. And it just, it was flooring to me. But then I read Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. And I was like, oh my God, somebody else sees it too, so it must be real. So that's been kind of the line that I've followed personally in bringing into practice, but I never really talked about it for a lot of years. I just that's how I helped people. So when we think about metaphors, I want to give you the actual definition of a metaphor, because take you back to English class in high school. It's a figure of speech in which a word or phrase is applied to an object or action to which it is not literally applicable. So if you think about when people describe when they have a depressive episode, they might say that they feel like they're falling into a deep, dark hole. Well, they're not literally falling into a deep, dark hole, but you get the feeling from them by them describing that. So what a metaphor in life looks like is when we have a block or a lesson that we're trying to work through, it'll show up in a way that's not literal. So in the physical body, it will show up as an ache or a pain or an illness or something like that. In the emotional body, it'll show up as regular emotions or episodes that they will feel in certain times. And in the spiritual body, it will be limiting beliefs and thoughts, things like that, that will kind of continue on and trip them up on their process to going forward. So I'll give you lots of examples afterwards, but that's kind of where we're going with that. So if you think about your life as a big, long novel, like the biggest novel ever, because we're going to have long lives, right? And there's many times that we won't finish a chapter. We'll skip ahead, or we won't finish a page, or we won't finish a paragraph. And sometimes we don't even finish the sentences. And what this creates in the unconscious mind is an open loop. It's called an open loop. A little bit of jargon for you, but with that open loop, the unconscious mind hates that. They want to get to the end of the story. The unconscious mind really loves things like fairy tales, wants to have the beginning, the middle, the end, so they can get the moral of the story, get the lesson, and move on to the next lesson. So if you look at it that way, like the fairy tale, there's a reason why we tend to gravitate towards personal stories. Like we love, Joseph Campbell's The Hero's Journey. We love that because our unconscious mind is like, okay, I can see myself in this journey. I can see that this is something that I'm working through. They got to the end of it. Where can I take that and apply it to my life so that I can close this damn loop that's been open for years, right? So that's the link that happens in through there. So, by the way, this is awesome in marketing, and it can be used for good or evil in marketing. But when we have that open, when we leave an open loop, people want to understand a little bit more, and so then that's when they connect with you. So you can, there's lots of evil-ish kind of examples of that in commercials and different kinds of big corporate things. But we can use that as more conscious entrepreneurs too, to just kind of get you start the story so that they want to continue the story with you, and you're helping them with it. So just keep that in mind for your own marketing. So let me give you an example from some of my clients of what this looks like when we go through this process. And it's really fascinating when you start to see the thread that happens with it, because you're like, oh, seriously? That's how that's showing up? It's amazing. So I want to give you an example of a client of mine that I had 2 years ago. He was a web developer, and he was finding that his clients were, they were dropping off at about the 75% finished rate. So they weren't completing their projects with him. And he was getting so frustrated because, of course, he wasn't getting paid the full amount either, right? Because that last little bit was never coming through. And he thought, okay, well, I'm the common denominator here because it's been happening for almost a year now. So that's why he came in to see me. And we just started talking it out a little bit. And one of my first questions to him was, well, where do you not complete things? Where's your unfinished business? And he started listing off some things. He was like, I've signed up for some online courses. I haven't finished them. There's some books I just got bored and I stopped reading. I've got a few repairs at the house that need to be done, but nothing really major. And honestly, nothing that would be really, that would stand out as like a big red flag or anything like that. So that, okay, we'll just be patient. It's going to come up because it always does. And then all of a sudden he just blurts out, but it never affects anyone's bottom line. It never, ever affects their way of making money. I'm like, okay, that's clearly something, because he was very passionate about it. So when I'm working with people, I look for it's just a very slight nuance wherein the unconscious mind is speaking instead of the conscious mind. And it'll sound just a little bit different in the tonality of it, and has like just a little bit of a different flavor to it. And it's ever so slight. It's almost as if it's like, are you really listening to me? And if you catch it, then it'll tell you more. So I'm like, oh, that's very interesting. Tell me more about that. So he starts talking, and it wasn't really going anywhere. Then all of a sudden he's like, well, my dad died suddenly when I was a teenager, and he left a lot of unfinished business. And I was like, bingo, we've got it. We've got the metaphor. This is it. This is the open loop that you have. So it ended up that he was a teen. His dad was not ill at all, but had a massive heart attack and passed away. And he was an entrepreneur and had left a bunch of different projects open and hadn't finished them. And they were scrambling to try and figure out how they were going to make this fit together and not have to give back money to clients and things like that. So They also had some debts and things. There was just a lot of like unfinished things that needed to be tied up. And because he was the only male in the family, and it was a traditional family, it was put on him. So he never finished his grieving process with his dad, and hadn't really forgiven him for putting him in this position. And so that was what we worked through, and we closed that loop. So then I checked in with him a couple months later, and he's like, I'm happy to report that all clients now finished their projects and that he had made the repairs in the house. So his wife was very happy. So, but we discussed it a little bit more, and I thought, well, this isn't the first time, I'm sure, that you experienced this unfinished business. And he's like, yeah, it's interesting because abruptly friendships or relationships would end, and it would be as if I didn't know what happened. There wasn't anything coming up to it. And he's like, I can see now that was what that was, the open loop that was open. So it can affect your personal life, and it can affect your business life. And our mind just keeps trying to find ways to finish that story so that it can move on to the next thing. So you see it move on. So that was an interesting one. Sometimes it's not quite so, well, it's not really literal, but quite so literal in the sense that it might show up in the body. And the body ones are very interesting. These are the ones they're kind of like fun party tricks, to be honest with you, when I can bring them up in conversations, because there's different parts of the body that represent different things. And if you think about the little phrases that we use in society, like I've got the weight of the world on my shoulders, well, that's, the responsibility is there. My favorite one that I see constantly, and it's probably because I experience it too, is in the knees, and that has to do with moving forward, so taking a step forward in life. And so often as a massage therapist, if I'm working with people that have a sprain or a strain in the lower limbs, I'll start talking to them about that. And where are you having a hard time moving forward in your life? Where are you feeling a little bit of resistance? So that will show up like that. And the throat will be about communication and boundaries and choices. And that's one that comes up a lot too for people. So I have a great example of that one, actually. I had a client who was repeatedly experiencing strep throat just before she would do a presentation at work. And she was in the marketing department of a big corporation. So she had to do a lot of presentations. And so they were at the point where they thought, well, we're going to have to get rid of your tonsils, or, do something here, because you shouldn't be having so many strep throats. So we started working on it, and I did a little bit of regression work with her with this one. And it took us back to a time in high school when she was giving a speech. She was on the debate team. She loved doing speeches. That was her thing. And then at this one particular debate, she was really passionate about whatever the topic was. I forget what the topic was now. And she got shot down. She said, I literally felt like I was shot as I was speaking it. It wasn't received well. And she felt a really sharp pain in her throat. So we saw the link that, if you've ever had strep throat, it feels like you're swallowing tacks or something, like it's very sharp, right? I'm like, oh, that sounds a lot like strep throat. And she's like, yes, that's exactly it. So we did some healing work around that, some forgiveness work around that. And then the strep throat just went away, and that helped her in her business. So there is a very practical side to this for moving forward in your work life, and as well as your personal life, right? At any point in time, we can have hundreds of loops open and not even be aware of it. So being very mindful of different things that come up often for you. So if you find that there's a part of the body that is more susceptible to illness or to injury, then figuring out what does that part of the body represent, there's an open loop there. If you find that you're experiencing certain emotions over and over again, and they're not really, I don't want to say not right, because it's never not right to feel an emotion, but if they don't really match the situation that you're in, then there's probably an open loop from before with that. If you're finding even that people around you are experiencing certain things over and over again, then like this is something that I actually watch for myself in clinic, is if I see that people are presenting with the same kind of problem over and over again, I'll do a quick reflection and say, okay, why am I attracting this into the clinic right now at this point in time? And there's almost always a link to it with my own self and what I'm going through. So it's interesting to see how it's always reflected back to us on the things that we're looking to close the loops on. So I thought we'd do a quick little exercise, if that's okay. If you just take a moment to close your eyes and scan your body and see what part of the body is calling to you. Maybe it's a little twinge, a little discomfort. And I don't know if you want to put it into the chat, or that's probably the easiest. I can help you if you're wanting to expose that. I can help you decipher a little bit about what would that be representing, and start the road to that throat. Okay, throat is, yeah, throat. Interesting. And lower back. Oh, that's so cool. Okay, so let's start with the throat. So the throat is your communication center, and it has a few different things with it. It's not only speaking your truth, but it's also making a choice and standing by that choice. So being really solid on your choices. It's also about boundaries, and that's one that comes up a lot for the throat, is that usually that speaking and communication and making choices is around the boundaries. Then the low back is interesting because that one comes up a lot too. So I usually find like the lower limbs, the low back and the throat are the most common. So the low back is, if it's right at like where the sacrum is, that butterfly bone at the bottom, if it's there or lower, like into the tailbone, then that's a lot of rooting. So where are your roots? Are you feeling grounded where you are? Are you feeling like it's time to make some kind of movement, or is it time to anchor down and batten down the hatches and get to work on something? If it's up a little bit, then it's getting just above the sacrum bone, and it's getting more into the area of the sacral chakra, and that's about relationships. So that would be what's being a little bit of a pain in the butt to you in the relationship wise. Like literally, we use these expressions, and it's, it's the perfect metaphor. So looking at those sorts of things, but the rooting is really the one that comes up the most. And usually it's either resistance to moving forward, or it's resistance to the roots that you've set, or that you're not allowing yourself to really get deep roots where you are. What else do we have here? Today it's your right foot. Okay. Oh, I'm so glad somebody said something on either side of the body. So the right is the masculine side of the body, and the left is the feminine side of the body. And the right foot, so that would be movement forward, but also rooting, which I think you said too, Donna, that it was usually lower back. So it's the same sort of thing, that rooting on things that are like practical issues. So the things that you associate with left brain tasks, so the money, the organization, those sorts of things, being very practical. And then also having a good footing with male relationships. So male energy can be women with high masculine energy, or with men. So kind of thinking about both of those there. Okay, cool. Calves and right. Okay, so calves are about moving forward, but that's like a resistance to moving forward, because is it both calves, Mary Beth? Both sides, yeah. So that's like hanging on tight. right? And the right eye is, what are you not really wanting to look at completely when it comes to the practical side of things? Yeah. Yeah. Ankles again, ankles would be that rooting part of it and the moving forward. And then mid-back is kind of interesting. So mid-back, sometimes people will be like, I feel like I'm being stabbed in the back, that kind of feeling. Is that what you're feeling? No? Okay. So if it was, then stab in the back would be like looking at an open loop that you might have on when you were trusting people and maybe they had some mistrust, issues around that.
It's going to be on mute if you want.
Okay, thanks, Jill. Yeah, well, it's actually a chronic pain spot for me.
Okay.
And it kind of feels like my muscles on that side are in a vice.
Okay. Is it right side or left side?
Right.
Right side. Okay. So it's really holding on. It's interesting. Is it right at the ribs?
No. Well, the back of it, yeah, it kind of is, actually, now that I think of it. Yeah.
And do you have a hard time taking a deep breath in because
No.
of it sometimes? No.
No, fortunately, it doesn't restrict my breathing.
That's really good. Okay. So mid-back, you're dealing with that's the solar plexus area. So energy-wise, that's a lot of things like anxiety can be held there. Anxiousness, I shouldn't say anxiety, that's a diagnosis. So anxiousness, nervousness, but then all the things to do with the self. So self-confidence, building your self-esteem up, things like that. If there was an interruption at some point, that's where it will show up. So I would want to look back and see where that developmental stage is between the ages of 1.5 to 3 years of age. So if I was doing regression work in there, I would want to go back to that time and see where were you able to be yourself and where were you not able to be yourself.
And I have to say too, Nicole, just really quickly, the reason why I'm on the couch a lot is the pain is much better that way. So
okay, yeah.
Right now, I'm not in a lot of pain at all.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that leaning in. That's interesting. So the support, needing the support. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that would be really interesting to look at. Crick in the neck. Is that at the back of the neck, Connie?
Okay, it's on my right side, and it's been like for the past 2 days. I just assumed I slept on it wrong, but just right.
So it's going into the shoulder. That would be responsibility. That I would definitely look at responsibility for that.
Oh yeah, I got lots of that.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. It's a common one actually. And sometimes if you get a trigger point there, it'll radiate into the head and do like the hook. And then the lower back, today the left abdomen. Okay. So that's the last part of the digestion when you're looking, if it's like in where the colon is, then that's where the descending colon is. And so that would be just getting rid of the last bits of things that you want to release in your life. So getting rid of the shit.
That's great. There's lots to let go of, so
There you go.
Hey.
So cool. That's good. Thank you. I'm really happy that everybody was able to share something. So it's interesting to see how things show up like that. And if you're experiencing some kind of a challenge in your business or in your personal life and you'd like to know a little bit more, I'm really happy to jump onto a Zoom call and just help you find where that loop is for you. So I think my time is more than up.
Thank you, Nicole. That was awesome. Yay.
Thank you.
We have some time for questions, so I want to open the floor up. Please ask away if Nicole doesn't mind.
Of course I don't.
I got a question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
This is really fascinating, Nicole. I love the open loops. I have to say, in my own life, I looked at myself and said, it's time to get all that stuff done. And when you said open loops, it made a lot of sense. It's like, I want to finish that chapter, that sentence. So do you do dream work too? Because of all the dreams that I've done, metaphors are such a big part of that.
They sure are.
You know, the one I had, and the picture was that I was, this is typical dreams. They do what they do, like urinating all over a stall uncontrollably. Pretty messy. Well, I was pissed off, and everybody was getting some of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I just thought that was so interesting.
Yeah.
And also I see that in when we're working with people, sometimes I have to ask them, and I've had to look at my own life. So is there any chance that this kind of stuff that your dogs or your cats are exhibiting are reflecting a little bit of what's going on in your life? So I'm just wondering if you can kind of riff off that or
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so animals and children, they're our best mirrors. Without a doubt, right? They show us exactly what we're not really willing to see within ourselves. So yeah, I used to work a lot with children as a hypnotherapist, that side of things. I got to the point where I let that part of the business go because I was getting so frustrated. The parents didn't want to make the changes. And, so we'd get so far with the children, and then they'd just go back into the fire basically. And it was just, I felt pained by it. So my new policy is that I work with the parents first, and then the children. Well, guess what? Business on that side went down. So, but I work with my husband, and he's been doing a little bit more of that work. He's a little more, how should I put it? Solid in working with the parents and insisting. So he gets the point across better than I did. So, so yeah, definitely. Animals and children, they're the best mirrors. They really are. You want to see what's going on inside? Just take a look at those around you.
So Emma sleeps a lot, so
I don't know. Do you like to nap?
I love a nap. Reflections of my soul. What other questions do we have for Nicole? Donna, you have something? Donna,
I do.
That's that
Yes.
mute. The mute.
I'm unmuting. Yay. I do have some questions. Nicole, do you do past life regression work?
My husband does.
Your husband does. Okay.
Yeah. So fascinating.
Yeah, it is. It's fascinating. I'm learning a little bit more and reading some more about it, and the whole how the past life affects the current life and soul lifetimes and journeys.
Yeah, and it's so good. So when he's talking to people about it, not everybody's a believer in it, and that's cool. Whatever you believe is fine. So for the people who don't believe in reincarnation and past lives, Elliot will just say, well, think of it as a metaphor that your mind is coming up with. It's a nice little story. Right. And that you're working through. And that tends to be the bridge that helps people because it's so effective. Mm-hmm. Like if we're working with people with fears and phobias and we just can't seem to unlatch it, that's the place we go. It's like, let's go into a past life regression.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And what about the intuitive stuff? Like, I'm really interested in that. So tell me about that. Like,
That's cool.
You mentioned something about you teach people how to uncover their own intuition.
Yeah, so I have a membership program called Flow, where we follow the moon cycles, and we also use the wisdom of the Celtic tree system. So through that, then I help people with the intuitive development for themselves, and also see how the energy of the moon is affecting them right now. So there's a time to put yourself out there, and there's a time to step back and reflect. So that's something that I teach with that because it's so important.
It is, and I'm finding more and more of it, especially in my own practice, where I'll have times where I'll hear crickets, and I have my regular clients who I'm dealing with, but then there are days or weeks where everybody's calling, everybody's like, and I'm thinking there's got to be some sort of to this because it's not a coincidence how this happens in cycles. And
no, totally. And in fact, we're coming up to a big push time that way, so everybody get ready for calls because between the new moon and the full moon is like
and when is this push time, Nicole? What is
right now?
Okay. Yes. And how long does it last?
Until the full moon. So the time between the new moon and the full moon is the put yourself out there. And the time from the full moon to the new moon is when you do your reflection. What worked, what didn't work.
When's the full moon coming? So when do we have until?
27th? Is that right? July 27th?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
My calendar's
With
correct.
my paper calendar. I'm so old school. Full moon is the 27th, yes.
So now through the 27th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty good. So that's the time to put yourself out there.
That's the time to be doing lots of advertising.
Visibility.
Yeah.
From now to the 27th?
Yeah. Yep. Definitely. Get to it.
That's good because I'm putting out my Facebook ads right now. So, and I'm sending people to my webinar. So this is really good.
Perfect time to do
Good time
webinars.
to really get out there.
Yes.
Hey, I don't have a question for you, Nicole, but I do have a statement / a testimonial.
Oh.
So, yeah, so last year, is it around this time? Probably before this time, a little bit before this time, but not too far from here. I successfully was able to get married, release and launch a book, move from Maryland to New Jersey, and there's a whole bunch of other things, but anyway, I don't want to bore you. But and then I rarely get sick, hardly ever get sick. I'm probably one of the, knock on wood, one of the healthiest people. I've been, not even a cold sometimes. It's amazing. So during all this time, I'm speaking to a wonderful individual, and she eloquently says, and I got really sick. I don't know how to handle sickness well because I don't get sick, right? So she eloquently told me, it's your ego. It's trying to slow you down because you have all this stuff going on. And I was like, wow, that hit me so powerfully that I couldn't believe. So that testimony goes to Debbie Keevan, who's on this call.
No.
So
That's awesome.
Okay,
so
Debbie.
it matches what you're saying in terms of how that other gentleman was with. I was like, wow, I was relating to that story strongly.
Yeah. That's cool. Thanks, Frank.
You're welcome.
And it's nice to see you.
Same here.
So
Get your post out.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. After this.
Well, it's time that from now until the 27th, it's time to get them out.
Yes.
Good time. We have time for just one more question. Does anybody have anything else?
Can I give a testimonial?
Oh, you can.
So I'm part of Nicole's Flow membership program, and we do this really cool thing on the new moon where we have a new moon session, and she talks about the moon that's coming up and what it means and where to use the energy. And so this is the second new moon, and we write a letter to ourselves at the end of the cycle, right? So things have already happened, and you're not super specific, but the process is just incredible. She gets you into the feeling, and the stuff is like freaking manifesting all over the place. Like it's one of those things that just is transformative once you see it and you understand the energy and how to be in it. Plus, it's just really cool. I mean, Nicole's always sharing these really cool insights. So if you're at all called, join us. It's so fun.
Oh, thank you. Yay. It's easy to see when there's smiley faces looking back. So.
Well, Nicole, we are so glad that you came today.
Thank you.
Wonderful presentation. So informative. Make sure you hit up Jennifer Flynn so you can go to her group and do the same presentation here. Frank's over there too. And I know Mary Beth has visited as well. If you want to continue to expand in the virtual networkers. That one's a little better maybe depending on the time of day, but that meets at noon on Mondays. Okay, so just a tip for you there. So we're going to move into the announcement portion of today's meeting. This is your opportunity, guests and members, to announce something that you'd like to share, whether it's a program, a webinar, what kind of client we can refer to you, anything. It's your moment to kind of do a little self-promotion. Please use the chat box if you have any web addresses, URLs, phone numbers, email addresses that we can use to connect with you to help you with whatever your announcement might be. So feel free to type away in there. That will be sent to you and with the replay link. So I will start on a different direction. So Mary Beth, you're up first.
Thank you. That was great, Nicole. Thank you. Thank you. That was wonderful. I had the honor of being, and I really mean that, being interviewed by Genevieve and her cohort, and I got the podcast, and I just did it helped me write a story about my recovery and how that led to animal communication, and the blog is up and the email's going out today. So I'd love it if you might read the blog, or you might join my newsletter and start getting my blog. So, thank you. I'm looking, you're down in the corner here. Thank you.
That's awesome, Mary Beth. Congratulations. Good job.
Thanks.
Yes. Thank you, Mary Beth. And Mary Beth, don't forget, you could put your how to sign up for your newsletter or whatever in the chat box for us. Connie Jo, what announcements do you have today?
Just basically, I'm open for new clients. I'm looking for coaches or other solopreneurs, people who need help with their books, want to free up time so they can spend more time doing their unique specialty instead of working on their books. So I'm open.
And by books, she means like checking accounts.
Yeah.
The other kind of book is Debbie Keevan. We'll get to her in a minute.
All that fun stuff. Your money books.
One package. This book and that book.
Yeah.
Genevieve, I know you have something to promote.
Absolutely. I have my wonderful Reclaim Your Health podcast that I co-host with my friend Dr. Rachel Haviland. And we have a few ladies in this meeting right now who have been guests. Thank you. I'd love to have you back when you can make it. And so you can go to reclaimyourhealth.us if you want to check it out, or you can go, I put in the chat box the links to our group from Reclaim Your Health, as well as my own personal group for my own business, Genevieve Kahn Universal.
Awesome. And you're also looking for speakers for your podcast, is that right?
Correct.
Yeah. So if you have a healthish / Story Judy, that might be something to share with Site K, something like that. Genevieve and I was on it. Nicole,
sure were.
Absolutely. I think all of you can probably come up with something. I've talked about my weight loss journey, and I wove a little marketing lessons in there as well. It was a great interview.
Yeah, you did a great job. And Mary Beth and Debbie were guests as well. And looking forward to having any of you ladies back when you're ready. And anybody else who would like to join us, please let me know.
Awesome. Thanks for being here, Genevieve. I hope you come back.
Thank you.
Frank Deming, what's new in your world?
Lots of great things coming up in my world. Thank God. My ask this week is I'm looking to meet with more attorneys, specifically family law attorneys, maybe some personal injury, but really, really family law attorneys, because I'm trying to push that realm of my business a little further. And since it's between now and the 27th, I figured I'd ask.
And we do have a divorce coach here who might know something. I mean, you might have a connection there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Awesome. Frank is very gifted. So if you need help with your SEO, class, CPC, CCP, all that good stuff, Frank should. Debbie Keevan, what is in your neck of the woods?
My neck of the woods is, thanks to the Celestial Circle, I now have a business Instagram account. So I would like to welcome you all to follow me, because now that I've crossed over 100 followers, I get insights and I just share, inspiration, little marketing, like not marketing tips, but writing tips and prompts and silly little things like my cat meowing and just fun stuff. So. But I would love to welcome you to follow me there. And I'll put the link, so thank you.
You're doing great.
And Nicole, a wonderful presentation. I'm always blown away by you. Always. Thank you.
Make me cry. Donna, what do you got to announce today?
Okay, and just like Debbie said, Nicole, thank you so much. I mean, really enlightening, and I took a lot of notes, writing down some things so I could remember. What I would like to just put out there is I basically right now I'm focusing on working with women who are post-divorce, who are still stuck in the struggle, where there's still some pain and guilt or whatever they're feeling. So I'm helping them to go through that. So if you know anyone who's been through a divorce and is stuck and is not moving forward, to please send them my way. I have a 12-week program that's a hybrid of both online and one-to-one. So when they come into the program, they also get to be part of a whole community of women who've been through the same thing. So we get her, it's a nest for her to heal, and it's just my place of service. So if there's anybody you know that could use some support, you can send them my way, and I'll put in the chat box the link to my webinar. So if anybody wants to go watch the webinar, they could do that or refer out. And then I'll also send you the link to my calendar. If anybody wants to refer, you can send them directly there. And I appreciate anything. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being. Hope you can come back when your calendar permits.
Yes. Yes.
Love you.
Thank you.
Bye. Judy Kane.
Yes. Hi. So this isn't testimonials. This is just what we're looking for right now.
Yeah.
Okay. So I like working with coaches and other people who have clients that have blocks. Psych K can change a belief or transform an emotion in about 5 minutes. It's a really fast process. So I have coaches that send clients over to get rid of some of the blocks or whatever it is they've got that's keeping them from moving forward. Then they go back for the support and the knowledge and the behavior coaching and all that type of thing. So always looking for people to have a partnership like that with.
Awesome. Thank you. Have you heard of Psych K, Nicole? Because she was shaking her head. Oh, yeah. Awesome. Maybe you two can meet.
Yeah. And I loved what you had to say. I'd not heard the open loop thing. I mean, patterns, yes, but I really I'm going to be thinking a lot about the open loop approach. Yeah.
Yay. I love when we get little nuggets, just little things we can learn from each other. Nicole, what announcements do you have?
Well, it seems like you mentioned flow. Maybe what I'll do is I'm going to put into the chat here. I have a Facebook group, free Facebook group called Moon Mystic Circle. So if you want to know a little bit more about the moon cycles and how it affects us, I talk a little bit in there about it. So feel free, see if it's something that interests you and join the conversation. We got an awesome group in there. Honestly, I was so happy.
I love when it comes together.
I love it when people start posting things and you're like, yeah, here I am. I'll just show up and say hello.
Yeah, I love it.
So good. It's good.
Yeah, it's a great little group. I'm in flow as well, and it's a lot of fun. I have to listen to the recording from yesterday's call. I'm sorry I missed it.
That's okay.
Yeah. That leaves me. So just a couple of, I got my announcements and virtual networkers announcements. So I'll just kind of put everything together first. Let me do the virtual networkers announcement first. I'm just reminding everyone who is a member and or a guest that there is an open house for the other virtual networking chapters. So many of you might know Jennifer Flynn. She facilitates another virtual networking group, which meets on Mondays at noon Eastern. Frank is very involved in that group, kind of a co-presidential role there as well. They're having an open house on noon Eastern on Monday, August 6th. There will be prizes, and if you're not a member, there'll be incentives to join, financial and gift-wise. They have a guest speaker named Jill Celeste, if that interests you. And we're looking forward to welcoming everybody. So if you have time, it'll be about 90 minutes altogether. So if you have time on Monday, August 6th to join us, there is an event page already created in the Keep It Local Facebook page. But I will, you guys are all on my list, so I'll be sending a reminder. But just if you can save the date for now, that would be awesome to have you there. And so that's that piece, I believe. Anything else? Nope, that's it. So for me, I'm always welcoming members into the Celestial Circle. So if you're looking for a sacred place to learn marketing and to have fun and to be connected to others who are learning with you, please come join us. We are doing Instagram month. This month and next month, we're doing something completely different. And I'll just say 2 words for some people: Carrie Eakins. That's all I'm going to say. She is actually, that's a good segue because Carrie Eakins is our guest speaker next week. And what Carrie is going to present about is the physical side of marketing. She's going to talk about where you are stuck in your marketing and how that's reflected in your body. If you can get that stuckedness off your body, guess what happens? Your marketing improves. It's going to be dynamic. She's from England. She has the best little, what accent is that? Sheffield, right? Sheffield accent. She's a lot of fun, real groovy chick. So she's our guest speaker next week. And I hope everybody can join us at 8 a.m. Next Friday as well. And that is it. That's all I got. Anything else for the good of the order? Okay, well, make sure.
Testimonials?
What's that?
We're going to do testimonials?
No, some people were just doing them off.
Oh, okay. Because I asked at the beginning, I just wanted to say I got a free audit from Frank, and it just had so much information about my website. Lots to think about. He explained it really clearly for me, and now I'm mulling it over. But it was
that's awesome. I'm so glad you two were able to connect.
Yeah.
Yay, I love that. I don't think you knew each other before Virtual Networkers, is that right? Yeah, okay, good. I love that.
You're the connector.
Well, you know, my second strength is relationships.
There you go.
There you go. Right before competition. Explains a lot, ladies, huh? Anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and sign us off. Take my kid to get his wisdom teeth out. Send him love, if you could, my 16-year-old. Send him love. And I will see you all next Friday with Carrie. Come back and see us, okay?
Bye.
Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Thanks, Jill. Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Nicole. Awesome presentation.
Love it.
Nicole.